My wife left me for another man when I got sick, then tried to come back when she learned I recovered and got rich. I'm 47, and lately, I've been going through an emotional crisis. My wife turned her back on me and started seeing another man when she found out I had an incurable illness. It all began about a year ago when I passed out at the office, and an ambulance took me to the hospital. After a series of exhausting medical tests, I was diagnosed with a serious liver infection. If left untreated, it could be fatal. At the time, my wife was in another city at a friend's wedding. I didn't tell her over the phone because I didn't want to scare her. When she returned and saw me pale and unwell, I had to tell her everything. She was shocked, but I didn't feel the warmth I expected after such news. I wouldn't say she was cold, but she seemed more disappointed than upset or scared, like I was to blame for my illness. Regardless, I focused on recovery and stayed positive. It became increasingly difficult to balance work and health. Doctors recommended drastic changes to my diet and lifestyle, and with the new routine, I struggled to work effectively, though I tried my best. Meanwhile, I noticed my wife pulling away. When I sought intimacy, she'd say I needed rest or complain about being tired. This worried me, so I tried talking to her. She claimed she was just stressed about my illness, but I didn't buy it. When someone's worried, they don't push their partner away. She was doing exactly that. To distract myself from the stress, I threw myself into work. I was so busy I started skipping meals, and sometimes forgot my medication. Naturally, this took a toll on my condition, and I got seriously ill again, landing in the hospital. This time, my wife saw what I was going through and took care of me. I was hospitalized for a week, and the doctor bluntly told me that if I didn't take my health seriously, things would spiral out of control. They recommended I take a leave of absence to rest, as work was only making things worse. But taking a leave was nearly impossible for me. I don't work for some typical corporation. The company I work for belongs to a close friend. He founded it back in college. When he invited me to join, I wasn't sure about its success, so I took a regular job instead. But 5 to 6 years later, his company started generating good revenue, and he offered me a high position with a great salary. I accepted and have since treated the company as my own, taking personal responsibility for its growth. I manage a key business division. I rested briefly, then returned to work. One day, I was discussing my test results with my doctor over the phone, and the company founder overheard. He was furious that I'd hidden my illness and kept overworking for the company's sake. He insisted I take a leave to recover fully. I told him about my situation, that I might never return to work, so I wanted to work as much as possible in the coming months to secure my family's future. I hadn't discussed this with anyone, not even my wife, but I had a bad feeling about my health. I thought it was deteriorating, and in that situation, I just wanted to earn as much as I could so my wife could maintain her lifestyle. I opened up to my friend, and he assured me that if anything happened to me, God forbid, he'd take care of my family's finances. That was a huge relief, but I didn't want to burden him. Still, he insisted I take a 6-month leave with no pay cut, and I could work from home occasionally if I wanted. I went home and told my wife I wouldn't be going to work starting tomorrow. Before I could explain fully, she immediately asked if I'd been fired. I looked at her sarcastically and said, "Yes, due to my declining health," trying to lighten the mood with a joke. Her first reaction was, "Are you dying?" It broke my heart. How could she be so insensitive? But I played along saying, "Yes." She asked how long I had left. I told her I didn't know, but the doctor said maybe 6 to 7 months, or less. I thought she'd cry or show some emotion, and I might even laugh at her reaction, but she was cold. She only said, "How will I manage financially? You don't have enough savings to support me." I've been telling you to leave your friend's company and find a job abroad where they pay more. Then we'd have enough money, and I could live normally. The point is, she didn't care that I was dying. She cared that I was dying poor and leaving her nothing. I wanted to reassure her and tell her about my stake in the company, which would ensure her a good life if something happened to me, but I held back. I was curious to see what she'd do next. I don't think I mentioned earlier, but I received a significant share in the company when we hit our first major milestone. Today, its value is around $1 million, and as the company grows, it'll be worth even more. I'm confident of that. From that moment, my marriage essentially froze. Our conversations became purely formal. She didn't even ask about my health. I watched her leave in the morning, return late at night, and mostly eat out, despite not having a full-time job. She works as a manicurist in a salon, but only seasonally. This worried me, but I focused on my health. Then, last month, my wife came to me and asked when we get divorced. My world collapsed. Divorce was the last thing I wanted to face in my condition. I was speechless. She said it shouldn't be surprising. She needs to move on, and the sooner she distances herself from me, the better. Sarcastically, I asked if she'd already found my replacement. She nodded and said yes, a man she'd known for a while, but now saw as a potential partner and had started dating. I can't even describe how I felt. Everything inside me broke. I realized my marriage was a sham. I discussed it with my friend, and he advised me to remove her from my list of beneficiaries. Let's stop calling her my wife. She's Jay now. I excluded Jay from all documents, including my company share. She doesn't know about my share because I wanted to surprise her with it in retirement, when its value would have multiplied. Luckily, I never told her earlier. She'd have kept pretending and playing her role for the money. Update 1. Hi everyone, and thanks for the kind wishes. I'm glad I lied to Jay about my terminal illness and saw her true colors. Otherwise, my whole life would have been a lie. We don't have kids. My parents passed away years ago, and I have a brother, but we're not close, so everything I had would have automatically gone to her. Despite working so hard to leave her enough money, this is how she treated me. At first, I tried ignoring her and focusing on my well-being. I signed up for fitness classes as my doctor advised, stuck to a strict diet, went running, did everything to recover. But the process wasn't as fast as it should have been. I realized that everything good I was doing for myself was being undone by her presence. I couldn't stand watching her get ready for dates. She'd come home drunk, makeup smeared, and we barely spoke. Sometimes she'd ask when we'd finally divorce or make snide comments like, "So, has your diet added a few more days to your life?" Obviously, these were sarcastic and cruel remarks. I pretended not to care, but they hurt. It slowed my recovery, or maybe even made things worse. Bye, family. I mean Jay, but now I had neither her nor anyone else, and I had nothing to do. My friend suggested I move into a small apartment on the top floor of our office building, where we used to hang out after work to unwind. It has one bedroom and a small living room. I agreed because being at home was suffocating. At least there, I could distract myself, walk around the office, see colleagues, and stay busy. Just a week in the new place did me good. When I was moving out, Jay asked if I was leaving for good. I said, "Until the divorce is finalized." After that, she didn't call me. Only when the divorce papers arrived, she left a voicemail thanking me for letting her go without a fight. The divorce went smoothly because I had nothing to fight for, though I did, but she didn't know that. The house we lived in was rented for 10 years. 8.5 years had passed, with 1.5 years left. I agreed to put her on the lease, so she could live there for free during that time. She thought I had no savings, and I told her I'd use them to live out my remaining days. So, everything was settled. Now, I'm focusing on eating right and working out. I've also started joining important work meetings from my apartment to keep busy. My latest checkup showed positive progress in my health, and I couldn't be happier. Before, I thought I wouldn't live long despite treatment, but now I feel much better and look to the future with optimism. I'll update if anything changes. Update 2. Hi everyone. Thanks for checking in. As I wrote in my last update, the divorce was finalized, and I let my ex-wife live in the house until the lease ends. After the divorce, I lived in the apartment in the office building since I moved out of our house, taking only essentials and sending the rest to storage. When I went to pick up my things, Jay's new guy was already living there. He awkwardly approached me, saying he was sorry to hear about my terminal illness. I just smiled. He asked how long I had left. I said I didn't know, maybe a few months. I was completely calm seeing my ex's new guy. Maybe I'd finally let go, or perhaps I was glad to offload a freeloader wife onto someone else. Health update. I'm doing much better than before, feeling healthier than ever. I returned to the office full-time, which helped a lot since I could work whenever I wanted. Now that my health has stabilized, I'm planning to sell part of my company's share to rebuild my life. I've been looking for a house. I've lived in the office for over 5 months. My friend says I can stay as long as I want, but I don't want to overstay his kindness. Amid all this, I got a message from an unknown number. A woman introduced herself as the wife of Jay's guy and asked to meet. I agreed. When we met, she asked about my health. Judging by her face, she was surprised, saying I didn't look terminally ill at all. I smiled and asked what else she knew about me and why she wanted to meet. She revealed her husband had been with Jay for over 2 years, but they'd kept it secret. When my illness became known and Jay got the house, he confessed his affair to his wife, left her, and moved into my house. I was stunned. Jay knew the house was rented, not owned. She pretended to find a new man because of my illness, but she'd been cheating long before. This woman was devastated. She said Jay had pursued her husband after he inherited money from his father 2 years ago. Jay's guy is much older, probably around 60, with grown kids. His wife was willing to forgive him if Jay backed off, which is why she sought my help. I asked if she was sure about her decision, since he'd cheated for 2 years. She said she was certain. She didn't want to break up her family or face old age alone. I didn't judge her. It's her choice, and they're not officially divorced yet. Then I told her the truth about my health. She was thrilled, congratulated me on my recovery, and asked about my plans. I said I'm looking for new housing. Then I told her the house Jay and her lover live in isn't mine. It's rented. Her eyes lit up. I knew what she was planning. She thanked me and left. The next morning, my phone blew up with calls and messages from Jay. In voicemails, she screamed, "Why did you lie about your health? Why didn't you tell me you recovered? Why did you hide that you own a share in the company?" Her panic was almost comically pathetic. Then she showed up at my office. I saw her through the meeting room glass, but told the secretary to make her wait a couple of hours. I know it sounds petty, but I enjoyed watching her squirm. The tables had turned. Months ago, I'd lived in the same state of anxiety and despair, watching her get ready for dates and come home drunk. When she was finally let into my office, she stormed in, yelling the same things from her voicemails. I listened, but inside, I relished her anger. It stemmed not from love or pain, but desperation. I smirked and asked how long she'd been cheating. She stayed silent, then tried lying, saying it only happened after I got sick. I gave her a look, and she knew I knew the truth. I made her admit she'd been with her lover for 2 years, and asked if she was with me just for the money. She confessed their relationship was just friendship, nothing serious, and she only slept with him after learning of my terminal diagnosis. I said, "Great, your husband's dying, and you go sleep with someone else." She kept lying, so I pressed her to tell the truth. She broke down, begging me to take her back. She said I didn't have significant savings, and when she learned her lover inherited $1 million from his father, she switched to him. But he wouldn't leave his wife until Jay proved she wasn't a gold digger. So, she offered him the house if he left his wife and married her. She planned to scam him. But his wife found me in time and exposed the truth. I smiled and told her to leave. She suggested dinner. I refused and told her to go again. Then she said, "Since everything's settled, let's start over. I have no complaints now." She tried to guilt me, forgetting she's no longer my wife, and I'm not obligated to bend to her anymore. I told her to leave, or I'd call security. Honestly, nothing feels more satisfying than seeing a cheating ex's humiliated face. I'll update when I've fully settled into my new life. Update 3. Hi everyone, I'm thrilled to write this update. I'm now fully divorced. Since my diagnosis, I've lost almost 11 kilograms, largely due to lifestyle changes. I was so busy earning money for my family, or rather, my ex-wife, that I completely neglected my health, all for someone who abandoned me the moment she thought I was dying. The last time I wrote, Jay came to my workplace, begging for another chance. Actually, after our meeting, her lover's wife went straight to him and told him Jay was a gold digger, only with him for his late father's inheritance. Until then, he defended her because she let him move into the house, but when he learned it was just rented, not owned, and she'd saddled him with a freeloader, he felt betrayed. It also came out that Jay had lied to him about many things to lure him in. She was indeed after his father's money, but his wife stood her ground. She wouldn't let Jay get that money, which was meant for her kids. In the end, his wife managed to get rid of Jay for good. I don't know how things are with her lover and his wife now. She used to keep me updated, but we don't talk anymore. I asked her a few times how she could forgive the infidelity, but she didn't want to discuss personal matters, so I didn't push. My ex-wife, however, tried every way to reconcile, calling, writing letters, sending gifts. When I got tired of it, I blocked her everywhere. Then, learning I was moving into my own place, Jay started showing up at my office, sending flowers and gifts. She has no job, and the house lease ends in a couple of months. A neighbor told me she's been renting out a room in the house to some guy for the past year, probably living off that money. I don't know what else she's doing to support herself, but I don't care anymore. I now realize everything happens for a reason and always for the best. My health is in order. I bought a place, a cozy 2-bedroom penthouse I furnished to my liking. I couldn't be happier. Many suggest I start dating again, but I haven't yet. Some younger colleagues recommended social networks for people over 45 starting anew. I even installed an app, but I'm not sure I'm ready to dive into modern dating. I've been warned there are lots of scammers on such sites, so I'm cautious. I don't want to end up in another mess. If you have advice or recommendations, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for all the support and kind words.